During Christmas dinner, when I sat down at the table, my son pulled my chair away, and I fell to the floor. "This seat is for my father-in-law. Move," he said coldly, as if I were an outsider, instead of holiday cheer. I felt deep shame for my own child. That evening, I turned his world upside down by plotting my retribution. I ended up with 63 missed calls. Before we go on, please subscribe to the channel and comment what time it is where you are right now. The aroma of turkey hit me first. Sage and butter, the way I'd prepared it for 35 years. Laughter echoed from the living room, glasses tinkling. My legs throbbed from the morning shift at the factory, but I steadied myself and headed to the last empty chair at the dining table. I reached for the back of it, my fingers grazing the wood, and began to sit down. Michael yanked it away. The floor rushed up quickly. My tailbone smacked against the hardwood, the pain shooting up my spine. Both palms scraped the floor as I tried to brace myself. For a few seconds, no one breathed. "That seat's for George. Go to the kitchen." Michael didn't look up from his phone. His tone was the same as when he ordered delivery. I stayed on the floor, looking up at the faces around my table. The two grandchildren, 6 and 8, stared at their plates as if glued there. My daughter-in-law, Sarah, tilted her head, and a small chuckle escaped her lips. Not loud, but intentional. No one moved to help. I pressed my palms flat and pushed up. My knees popped. The room stayed silent except for someone's fork scraping a plate. I straightened slowly, feeling every one of my 62 years in my lower back. I looked at Michael, waiting for something. An apology, a joke to lighten it, anything. He scrolled through his phone. "The kitchen has a perfectly good stool. Robert." Sarah's voice had that cheerful edge she used when talking to kids. "Don't be dramatic." I walked toward the hallway, not the kitchen, my bedroom, each step deliberate, my back straight. The hallway seemed longer, my work boots by the door still muddy, my reading glasses on the side table where I'd left them that morning, photos on the wall, me and Elizabeth on our wedding day, me holding baby Michael, the house behind us with its new paint. My house. Behind me. Silverware clinked. Someone laughed. The conversation resumed like water flowing around a rock. I closed my bedroom door with both hands, controlling the motion. No slam, just a soft click. The darkness enveloped me. I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my work jacket. Through the door came the muffled sounds of dinner. Voices rising and falling, chairs scraping. The doorbell rang. George arriving right on time for his reserved seat. More laughter. Someone turned on music. I didn't move, just sat there as memories flickered through my mind. Uninvited. Moving into this house 35 years back. Elizabeth beside me. Both of us 25 years younger and sure we'd found forever. Teaching Michael to ride a bike in that same driveway, running behind him with my hand on the seat until I let go, and he pedaled forward on his own. The day 4 years ago, when he'd stood in this same hallway, Sarah and the kids behind him, asking if they could stay just for a few months, while they got back on their feet. 4 years. The house quieted around midnight. Footsteps on the stairs, bathroom doors closing, the creak of beds settling. I lay on top of my covers, still dressed, staring at the ceiling. But something had shifted. My chest didn't ache the way I thought it would. My hands weren't trembling. I was thinking. When the first gray light seeped through the curtains, I sat up. The house held that early morning stillness. Everyone still asleep after their celebration. I walked to my closet and pulled out the metal lockbox from the top shelf. The combination clicked under my fingers. Elizabeth's birthday. Same as always. Inside. The house deed. Insurance papers. Bank statements. The title to my truck. I carried everything to the bed and spread it out like cards in a poker game. The deed sat on top. Thick paper, official seals, my name in bold type. I picked it up, ran my thumb across the embossed letters. Robert Thompson. Owner, not guest. The light grew stronger in the window, turning from gray to soft yellow. I stayed at the edge of my bed, the deed still in my hands, while the house began its morning noises around me. Water running through pipes, a toilet flushing upstairs, the coffee maker I'd bought last year clicking on. Sarah must have set the timer. 2 hours passed before I stood. My lower back still throbbed from the fall, a deep ache that would probably last a few days. I gathered the papers, returned them to the lockbox. Except for the deed. That one I slid into the drawer of my nightstand. The kitchen was empty when I walked in around 9. I poured coffee into my usual mug, the one that said "World's Best Dad," a Father's Day gift from 12 years back, and sat on the stool Sarah had mentioned. The same stool I used to prop the back door open when I brought in groceries. My laptop sat on the counter where I'd left it yesterday morning. I opened it and typed into the search bar, "Tenant rights California," then eviction process, then property owner rights. I pulled a yellow legal pad from the drawer and started taking notes. The pen scratched across paper, filling lines with phrases like 60-day notice and unlawful detainer, and no verbal lease protection. Footsteps on the stairs. Michael appeared in sweatpants and an undershirt, his hair sticking up on one side. He saw me at the laptop, stopped, opened his mouth, closed it, poured himself coffee, and left without a word. That silence told me more than any conversation could have. Over the next few days, I watched, really watched, like I was seeing my own house for the first time. Sarah rearranging the kitchen cabinets on the 26th. Moving my coffee to a top shelf I needed a step stool to reach. Michael's mail piling up on the entry table. Credit card offers. Bills from furniture stores. A notice from a collections agency. The grandchildren asking Sarah if they could have snacks from the pantry in my house. Asking her. The 27th evening. Sarah found me reading in the living room. "Robert, we need the living room tonight. Friends coming over." I looked up from my book. "This is my living room." She laughed, the sound sharp. "Don't be difficult. Just stay in your room." I went to my room, but I added the date and time to a document on my laptop along with her exact words, the 28th and 29th. I barely left my bedroom except for coffee and bathroom trips. My laptop screen glowed with legal websites, forum posts, PDF guides to California property law. I learned about living trusts, about the difference between guests and tenants, about how ownership trumped occupation every single time. I made a list of what I needed. Property deed, proof of ownership, evidence of no rental agreement, bank statements showing no rent payments received. I had everything except printed statements. I fixed that on the 29th, driving to the bank and requesting printed records for the last 4 years. The teller handed them over in a thick envelope. When I got home, I found Sarah at the small desk in the hallway, going through a stack of my mail. "Just organizing for you." She smiled up at me. "You're so scattered lately." I held out my hand. She blinked. "I'll handle my own papers." She handed them over slowly, her smile fading. I took my mail and the envelope from the bank to my bedroom and closed the door. New Year's Eve arrived cold and clear. I heard Michael and Sarah getting ready around 7, shower running, blow dryer, the sound of Sarah's heels on the hardwood. They came down the stairs, dressed for a party. You'll watch the kids. Right, Sarah checked her earring in the hall mirror. They're already asleep. No. She turned. Excuse me. Take them with you or stay home. Michael came down, buttoning his shirt cuffs. Dad, what's your problem lately? No problem. I have plans. Plans. Michael's eyebrows went up. What plans could you possibly have? I looked at him steadily. My plans. My house. My New Year's Eve. They argued for 5 minutes. I sat in my chair, the one I'd moved back from the garage, and said I'm not available 4 different times in 4 different ways. Finally, they went upstairs, woke the kids, and left. Sarah slammed the front door hard enough to rattle the windows. The house settled into silence around me. I went to my bedroom and pulled out the legal pad, wrote out a numbered list in careful block letters. 1. Find attorney specializing in property law. 2. Prepare eviction notice 60-day requirement. 3. Document all evidence with dates. 4. Set up living trust to protect assets. 5. Timeline, eviction by summer. Outside, fireworks started popping at midnight. The neighborhood celebrated, voices calling out, car horns honking. I sat at my desk and wrote one final line. First appointment, attorney consultation, Monday, January 2nd. My reflections stared back at me from the dark window, backlit by my desk lamp. The fireworks outside threw colored light across my face. Red, blue, gold. I looked different. Older maybe, or just done being pushed around. Monday morning. I'd make the first call. Monday morning arrived with pale winter light. I sat on the edge of my bed, door closed. Laptop open to the website I'd bookmarked 3 days earlier. James Carter, family and property law. Professional headshot, credentials listed. Office address downtown. My phone felt heavier than it should have. I dialed the number twice, hung up before it rang. Third time I let it connect. 3 rings. 4. Carter and Associates. How may I help you? I need to speak with James Carter about a property matter. What type of property matter? Sir, eviction. It's my house. Pause on the line. Keys clicking. And your name, Robert Thompson. Let me check his availability. Hold music. 30 seconds. Mr. Carter has an opening Thursday, January 5th at 10:00 a.m. Does that work? Yes. May I have a contact number? I gave it. She repeated the appointment details. I saved it in my phone calendar under medical checkup, then sat staring at the screen. Footsteps in the hallway. Sarah's voice outside my door. Robert, you in there? I stayed silent. After a moment, she walked away. The next 3 days, I moved through the house like normal, made coffee in the morning, watched the news in the living room, took my daily walk around the neighborhood. Michael barely looked at me. Sarah issued orders. Can you pick up dry cleaning? She asked Wednesday afternoon. Sure. I picked it up, came home, hung Michael's shirts in his closet. But I was gathering what I needed. Wednesday evening, I drove to the public library, printed my bank statements at the self-service computer. 5 cents per page. 4 years of records showing 0 deposits from Michael, 0 rental income. I paid cash, folded the papers into my jacket. That night, I counted the money in my lockbox. $3,800 pension payments and Social Security, saved bit by bit, enough for a retainer. Thursday morning, I told Sarah I had a doctor's appointment. She looked up from her phone. Whatever. Bring back milk. Downtown Los Angeles felt different in January, colder than people expected. The morning air sharp. I found parking 3 blocks from the office building. Fed the meter enough quarters for 2 hours. Carter and Associates occupied the 3rd floor. Modest space. Glass door with the firm name stenciled in black. The waiting room had leather chairs worn smooth at the arms. Law journals stacked on a side table. One other client sat reading his phone. The receptionist smiled at me. "Mr. Thompson, James will see you now." His office overlooked the street. Gray suit, blue tie, maybe early 50s, with the kind of handshake that felt practiced but genuine. He offered coffee. I declined. "You mentioned an eviction matter." I opened the folder I'd brought. Deed on top, bank statements underneath. The timeline I'd typed out listing dates and incidents. Laid it all on his desk. My son and his wife living rent-free for 4 years. "I want them out." Carter pulled the documents closer. Reading, his expression stayed neutral. "Any written agreement between you? No. Do they pay utilities? No. Nothing. Have you asked them to leave? Not directly. Not yet." He leaned back, fingers steepled. "Then legally they're tenants at will. California requires 60-day written notice. If they don't comply, you file unlawful detainer. Court hearing happens within 3 to 5 weeks. If you win, and you will based on this, the sheriff enforces removal. How long total? 90 to 120 days, typically." He explained the process step by step. Forms, filings, court procedures. Then he mentioned something else. "You might also consider asset protection. Living trust. You transfer the house to a revocable trust now. Name a beneficiary. Could be a charity, a friend, anyone. Cuts off their expectation of inheritance." I sat forward. "How does that work?" He walked me through it. Revocable meant I controlled everything. Could change my mind. Change beneficiaries. Maintain ownership. But it sent a message. Made my intentions clear. I want that too. Eviction process runs $3,000. Trust setup is $1,500. $4,500 retainer total. I pulled out my checkbook. Wrote the amount. Signed my name. Tore it along the perforation. He took it. Filed it in a folder with my paperwork. "I'll draft the notice today. You'll need to decide when you want it served." Soon. Mid-January. We shook hands. I left with his business card in my pocket, and a weight lifted from my chest. The grocery store was 2 blocks away. I bought milk, placed it in the passenger seat. Drove home, maintaining the lie. Sarah met me in the kitchen. "Took you long enough." "What did the doctor say?" "Blood pressure is fine. Same as always." "You need to start exercising more. You're getting slow." She took the milk, put it in the refrigerator, walked away. Michael appeared from the living room. "Dad, I need the garage this weekend. Moving some equipment from work. You'll need to park on the street." "The whole garage?" "Yeah, just for a few weeks." "Fine. Thanks." He left. I went to my room, closed the door, took the folder from my briefcase, added Carter's card, buried it in the lockbox under old tax returns, looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Same face, same gray hair, nothing showed. The following days crawled and raced simultaneously. January 9th, Carter emailed. "Notice prepared. Ready for your approval." I reviewed the PDF at the library. Formal language. 60-day deadline. Legal consequences spelled out in precise paragraphs. I replied from the library computer. Approved. Proceed with service. At home. Nothing changed outwardly. Michael used my truck Saturday without asking. Sarah redecorated the living room. moved my favorite reading lamp to the basement. The grandchildren were told not to bother Grandpa because he was tired. I noted each thing, showed nothing. January 15th, evening. My phone buzzed with a text from Carter. Sheriff's service scheduled. January 20th, 2 p.m. They'll serve Michael directly. Be prepared for reaction. I read it twice, deleted it, went to dinner. The family sat at their dining table, plates full, wine glasses catching the light. Sarah laughed at something Michael said. I ate my meal at the kitchen stool, fork scraping the plate. I finished my meal in the kitchen. 5 more days of their laughter. I could wait. The next 4 days felt like standing on a train platform, watching the headlight grow brighter in the tunnel. January 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. I went through the motions, made coffee, watched morning television, took walks, but I watched the clock more than I watched the screen. January 19th, 6:00 in the evening. My phone buzzed. Carter's text. Sheriff confirmed. 2 p.m. Tomorrow. I barely slept. Lay in bed listening to the house settle. The refrigerator humming. Someone using the bathroom around 3:00 a.m. Tomorrow the foundation would crack. Morning of the 20th, I made coffee early, sat in the living room chair instead of retreating to my room. Michael came down first, saw me there. You're up early. Couldn't sleep, he grunted. Poured coffee, disappeared back upstairs. The clock on the wall ticked toward 2. At precisely 2 p.m., the doorbell rang. Sarah answered. I heard her voice from where I sat. Yes. Can I help you? I'm looking for Michael Thompson. What's this about Michael's footsteps on the stairs? I'm Michael Thompson. I have legal documents for you. Sign here, please. Rustling paper, pen scratching, the door closing. Michael appeared in the hallway, white envelope in hand. He opened it standing there, pulled out the papers. His face went through stages. Confusion first, then comprehension, then something darker. He read aloud, voice flat. Notice to quit premises. You are hereby notified to vacate the premises located at... He stopped, looked up. His eyes found me in the living room. Dad, what is this exactly what it says? Notice to vacate. You have 60 days. Sarah snatched the papers from his hand, scanned them. This is from... Who's James Carter? Michael stared at me. The silence stretched thin. You're joking. This is a joke. No joke. I want you out of my house. His laugh came out sharp, disbelieving. It died fast. Your house, we live here. This is our home. It's my house. My name on the deed. You've never paid a cent. Sarah's voice went shrill. We're family. You can't evict family. I am. Michael crossed the room in 3 strides, stood over my chair. Papers crumpled in his fist. What's gotten into you? Is this about Christmas? You fell. Accidents happen. I stood. Met him eye to eye. I didn't fall. You pulled the chair. And that was just the last time. The last in 4 years of you treating me like a servant in my own home. Sarah stepped between us. We treat you fine. We let you live here. The words hit wrong. I felt my jaw tighten. You let me. This is my house. This is insane, Michael said. You're being cruel, vindictive. Where are we supposed to go? That's not my problem. You have 60 days. Sarah started crying. Not real tears. The manipulative kind she used on store clerks and bank tellers. How can you do this to your own son? To your grandchildren? You should have thought about them before treating me like trash. Michael looked at the papers again, saw the attorney letterhead. His eyes narrowed. You hired a lawyer? How long have you been planning this? Long enough. Sarah grabbed her phone. I'm calling my father. He'll talk sense into you. Go ahead. She dialed, jabbed the speaker button. It rang twice. Sarah. What's wrong? Robert is evicting us. He served us papers. He's kicking us out onto the street. Slow down. What happened? Sarah's version came out in gasps. We've been nothing but good to him, and he just decided to throw us out. No warning. Nothing. Just the sheriff at the door. George's voice went quiet. Let me talk to Robert. She shoved the phone at me. George, what's going on? Robert, they've been living in my house for 4 years. Rent-free. Treating me like hired help. I want my house back. So I'm evicting them. Legal and proper. Long pause. I heard him breathing. Have they been paying rent? Not a dime. Helping with bills? Nothing. Another pause. Then it's your right. It's your house. Sarah grabbed the phone back. Dad, you're supposed to be on our side. I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on the side of what's right. You've been living there free for 4 years. That's generous enough. Maybe it's time you stood on your own. I can't believe this. I'm sorry, honey, but Robert owns that house. He has every right. The call ended. Sarah stared at her phone like it had betrayed her. That evening, Michael sat at the dining table with his laptop, typing search terms, tenant rights, California, fighting eviction, unlawful detainer defense, made phone calls, his voice low and urgent. The next few days, he found an attorney, David Reed, storefront office, $600 consultation. Reed reviewed the notice, nodded slowly. We can challenge this. File objections. Claim oral agreement for long-term residence. Can we win? We can delay. Maybe 7 months. But if he owns the house and you've paid nothing, eventually, yes, he can evict you. I'll take 7 months. Do whatever you can. At home, the Cold War settled in. Michael and Sarah stopped speaking to me. I stopped acknowledging them. We ate separate meals, occupied separate spaces. The house felt divided by invisible walls. January 31st, Michael filed his response with the court, claimed oral agreement, claimed financial hardship, requested dismissal. I received the copy via Carter's email that evening, sat in my room reading it on my phone while outside my door. Michael and Sarah argued. Where are we going to get money for rent? Sarah's voice carried through the wall. I don't know, but we're not leaving without a fight. Carter's email continued below the attachment. Expected response. Baseless but standard stalling tactic. Court date will be set for mid-February. Stay calm. I closed my phone. Listened to their scrambling through the wall. Their panic sounded like static. They were scrambling now. Good. Let them feel what uncertainty tastes like. The next morning, I sat at my desk reading Carter's email. Subject line, their response review immediately. I opened the attached PDF. Michael's court filing. 9 pages of legal language. I skimmed past the formalities to the claim section. Respondent Michael Thompson asserts that petitioner Robert Thompson verbally agreed to lifetime residence in exchange for care assistance. Respondent has concerns about petitioner's cognitive function and decision-making capacity. I set my phone down, stared at the wall. They were attacking my mind, claiming I was incompetent, confused, manipulated. This went beyond defending their right to stay. They were trying to paint me as someone who couldn't make his own decisions. I called Carter. You saw the filing, he asked. The competency claim. What do I need? Documentation, medical evaluation, proving you're sound. Keep recording everything they do. If they're staging situations to make you look confused, we need proof. California's one-party consent. Right. Correct. You can record without their knowledge. I drove to an electronics store that afternoon. Bought a small digital voice recorder for $50, activated the voice memo app on my phone as backup. February 3rd. I noticed Sarah's new strategy. I was taking trash to the curb when she rushed out the front door. Our neighbor Linda stood in her driveway 2 houses down getting her mail. Robert. Wait. Let me help you with that. Sarah's voice carried across the yards. You shouldn't be lifting heavy things. I've got it. You're so stubborn. I worry about you. She took the bag from my hands, carried it to the curb, gave Linda a look that said, "What can you do with him?" Inside the house 30 minutes later, she walked past me without a word. That evening, I found my blood pressure medications sitting on the kitchen counter. I kept all pills in my bedroom lockbox. Someone had deliberately placed them there. I photographed the bottles, checked the timestamp, moved them back to my room. February 5th. The pills appeared on the dining room table. February 7th. The living room side table. Each time I documented the location before returning them. Sarah made sure people noticed. Loud conversations within earshot of neighbors. He keeps forgetting where he puts things. I'm so worried. To the mail carrier, he's been forgetful lately. We're keeping an eye on him, but I was keeping an eye on her. February 9th. I recorded her contradictions in the house when she thought no one could hear. Stay out of the way, old man, and stop touching my things. In the front yard with Linda nearby. Robert, have you taken your medication today? You know how important that is. The recorder captured everything. February 11th, I checked our phone account. Family plan meant I could see text message logs, screenshots saved automatically to cloud storage. Sarah to Michael. Linda definitely noticed the pills. I made sure to mention his confusion again. Michael to Sarah. Good. Keep it up. We need people thinking he's losing it. I forwarded everything to Carter. February 15th, I sat in Dr. Emily Davis's office. What brings you in today? Robert, I need a cognitive assessment. Full evaluation. She looked concerned. Are you experiencing memory problems? Confusion? No. I'm in a legal situation. My son is claiming I'm mentally incompetent. I need documentation proving otherwise. She nodded slowly. All right. Let's do a complete workup. The mini mental state examination took 20 minutes. Questions about dates, locations, memory recall, simple arithmetic. I scored 29 out of 30. Dr. Davis printed a letter on official letterhead. Patient Robert Thompson shows no signs of cognitive impairment, dementia, or diminished mental capacity, fully competent to make independent decisions regarding personal and financial matters. I filed it with Carter that afternoon. At home, the atmosphere curdled into something toxic. Michael and Sarah stopped pretending civility, even in passing. When they spoke to me, it was hostile or performative, depending on who might be watching. February 16th. Argument over the television remote. We're watching something. Michael said, "Find something else to do. This is my living room." Not for much longer. I left. The recorder in my pocket caught every word. February 18th. Sarah left my laundry in the washing machine for 2 days. Everything mildewed. Oh, I forgot they were there. So much on my mind. I rewashed them. Added the incident to my dated log. February 19th, close to midnight. Michael's friends arrived. Music pounded through the walls. I asked them to turn it down. Neighbors were complaining. Lights coming on in houses down the street. It's not your house anymore. Michael said, "Get used to it." I called the non-emergency police line. The officer arrived within 15 minutes. Michael was forced to send people home. He stared at me from the doorway as the last car pulled away. "You're going to regret this. I already have everything I regret from you." I recorded that, too. February 20th. Carter called with the court date. February 28th, 10:00 a.m. Judge Susan Jenkins. "What do I bring? Nothing. I have everything we need. Your medical evaluation is excellent. Their filing is weak. Accusations without evidence. But they'll try to make you look bad in court." I'm ready. I hung up and looked at the calendar on my wall. 8 days. I spent the evening organizing folders. Voice recordings backed up to 3 locations. Photos printed and labeled. Timeline documented with dates and witnesses. Downstairs, Michael and Sarah were arguing about money. Their voices rose and fell. Stress bleeding through the walls. 8 more days of their games. I had recordings, photos, medical proof. Let them try to call me incompetent. The evidence would speak louder than their lies. The final week passed in careful preparation. 2 more meetings with Carter, reviewing evidence point by point, at home. Michael and Sarah dressed better, practiced looking like concerned family members. I watched without comment. February 27th, the night before court. I lay awake counting ceiling tiles. February 28th arrived cold and bright. I dressed in my navy suit, white shirt, dark tie. Left the house at 8:30 for a 10:00 hearing. Carter met me in the courthouse hallway at 9:15, briefcase open on a bench. Judge Jenkins runs a tight courtroom. No theatrics. Stick to facts if she asks you anything. Michael, Sarah, and David Reed arrived at 9:30. Sarah wore a conservative dress, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. Michael kept adjusting his tie. Reed carried a folder that looked thin. They didn't look at me. The bailiff called our case at 9:50. Thompson versus Thompson. Unlawful detainer. The courtroom had wood paneling, modern furniture, the California state seal mounted behind the bench. Judge Susan Jenkins entered. Late 50s, gray hair, reading glasses on a chain. She sat, opened the file, looked up. "Eviction matter. I've reviewed the filings. Mr. Reed, your clients are contesting the eviction." "Yes, Your Honor. Present your defense." Reed stood, papers rustling in his hands. "Your Honor, my clients have resided in the property for 4 years based on an oral agreement with Mr. Thompson. He agreed they could stay long-term, essentially permanently, in exchange for helping with his care as he ages." Judge Jenkins looked over her glasses. "Do you have this agreement in writing?" "No, Your Honor. It was a family understanding, a verbal commitment. Any independent witnesses to this agreement?" "The parties themselves, Your Honor. And we have concerns about Mr. Thompson's mental state. His decision to evict seems sudden and possibly influenced by confusion. Do you have medical evidence of cognitive impairment?" Reed hesitated. "We have circumstantial evidence. Neighbors have noticed forgetfulness. Pills left in unusual places. Confusion. Circumstantial observation isn't medical documentation. Does Mr. Thompson have a diagnosis of dementia, Alzheimer's, or any cognitive disorder from a licensed physician?" "Not formally, Your Honor. But behaviors suggest behaviors observed by whom?" "Do you have expert medical testimony?" "No, Your Honor." Then your competency argument is speculative at best. Continue with your evidence of the oral agreement. Reed called Michael to the stand. The bailiff swore him in. "Mr. Thompson asked me to move in. Michael said he wanted family close, wanted us to stay permanently, help maintain the property. Carter stood for cross-examination. Did you pay rent? No. It was a family arrangement. Utilities? No, he said not to worry about it. Any written documentation of this permanent arrangement? We're family. We don't need paperwork for everything. So in 4 years, you never paid anything, never signed anything, never contributed financially in any way. Michael's voice went defensive. We helped around the house. Can you provide specific examples with dates, regular maintenance, yard work, general upkeep? Carter placed bank statements on the evidence table. These show no payments from you to Mr. Thompson. Not $1 in 4 years for anything. It was an understanding. Thank you. No further questions. Judge Jenkins looked at Carter. Present your case. Carter stood organized. Your Honor, this is straightforward property law. Mr. Robert Thompson owns the property outright. He presented the deed. Mortgage satisfied in 2012. Clear title. Mr. Michael Thompson and family have lived there rent-free for 4 years. No lease, no rental agreement, no financial contribution of any kind. He presented the bank statements. Mr. Thompson now wishes to reclaim his property. This is his legal right as owner. Regarding competency, the judge asked, fully addressed. Carter presented Dr. Davis's evaluation. Complete cognitive assessment performed February 15th. Mini mental state examination score 29 out of 30, well within normal range. Written statement confirms 0 signs of dementia or cognitive impairment. Judge Jenkins read the report carefully. This is recent and thorough. Additionally, Your Honor, I have evidence the respondents deliberately staged situations to create a false impression of incompetency. He presented the photos of pills in various locations with timestamps. Then the text message screenshots between Sarah and Michael. The judge read the texts, eyebrows rising. These are authenticated. Phone records confirm origin and timestamps. I can call Mr. Thompson to authenticate if necessary. That won't be needed. The messages are quite clear. Carter called Linda Hayes. She testified briefly. Sarah's behavior seemed performative. Robert always appeared sharp and capable. Judge Jenkins removed her reading glasses, looked directly at Michael and Sarah. I've seen enough. Mr. Thompson owns the property outright. There is no written agreement and no credible evidence of a verbal agreement beyond self-serving testimony. No rent has been paid. Legally, respondents are tenants at will. She paused. Furthermore, the attempt to question Mr. Thompson's competency without medical evidence borders on defamation. The text messages demonstrate deliberate deception. She picked up her gavel. Judgment for petitioner. Respondents must vacate the premises by April 15th, 2025. Failure to comply will result in sheriff enforcement. The gavel struck wood once. Silence filled the courtroom. I felt something release in my chest. Not celebration, just the end of holding my breath. Michael sat frozen. Sarah's face crumpled, tears starting. But these weren't performance tears. Reed gathered his papers quickly, looking embarrassed. The judge exited through her chamber door. Carter shook my hand. It's over. Congratulations. Thank you. We walked toward the elevator. Behind us, Sarah's voice cut through the hallway. You destroyed your own family. For what? To live alone in that house, you're a bitter old man. Sarah. Stop, Michael said. Not here. He betrayed us. His own son, his grandchildren. I stopped, turned around, looked at them both steadily. I didn't betray anyone. You betrayed yourselves. I turned back, continued walking. Carter pressed the elevator button. Don't engage, he said quietly. You won. That's enough. The doors opened. We stepped inside. The elevator descended 11 floors down. Behind me, I could still hear Sarah's voice echoing in the courthouse halls, but the distance grew with each floor. By the time I reached the ground, I couldn't hear her anymore. March 11th. I sat in my bedroom with Carter's business card between my fingers. The court victory was step 1. Asset protection was step 2. I researched online that evening. Revocable living trust, beneficiary designation, protection from future claims and inheritance disputes. Carter had mentioned it back in January, transferring the house to a trust, naming a beneficiary, cutting off expectations. I knew exactly where the house should go. Veterans Support Fund of California, local charity that helped me 38 years ago when I came back from service. Time to return the favor. March 12th. I called the estate planner Carter recommended. Laura Bennett, notary public trust specialist. Living trust, she said. I can help with that. Bring property deed, identification, beneficiary information. When works for you, March 15th, 200. I told no one at home. March 15th. I informed Sarah I was going to the bank. She barely looked up from her phone. Laura Bennett's office occupied a small suite in East Los Angeles. She was late 40s, efficient, papers already organized when I arrived. Mr. Thompson, let me explain. A living trust transfers property ownership to the trust while you're alive. You remain trustee, maintain full control. Upon your death, property goes to the named beneficiary, avoids probate, prevents contests, and my son can't claim it as inheritance. Correct. The property belongs to the trust. Your son has no legal claim. That's what I want. She walked me through documents, trust agreement, property transfer deed, beneficiary designation form. I wrote Veterans Support Fund of California in careful block letters. Any particular reason for this charity? I'm a veteran. Army 38 years ago. 2 tours. The fund helped me when I came back. Gave me a place to stay. Helped me find work. I never forgot that. I signed each page. Bennett notarized with her official seal. The filing fee came to $1,500. I wrote the check without hesitating. I'll file with the county recorder this week. You'll receive copies in about 10 days. How private is this? Trust document itself is private, but the property transfer is public record. Anyone checking county records could find it. Good enough. I drove home with the documents in my briefcase. The house looked the same, but legally everything had changed. March 22nd. Michael got a phone call at work. I learned this later when he came home early. Face pale, hands shaking. He found me in the living room reading the newspaper. You put the house in a trust. I looked up. Yes. When did you do this? Last week, March 15th. Why would you do that? To protect my assets, to ensure the house goes where I want it to go. His voice rose. Where does it go? Veterans Support Fund. Silence filled the room like water rising. A charity. Disbelief cracked his voice. You're giving our house, my inheritance, to a charity. It's not your house. It never was. And it's not your inheritance anymore. You can't do this. This is revenge. This is vindictive. It's my property. I can do what I want with it. You taught me that when you treated it like yours. He stormed upstairs, slammed his door hard enough to rattle the frame. Sarah appeared minutes later. Michael had told her. a charity. Her voice was cold, controlled fury. You'd rather give everything to strangers than your own family. You made yourselves strangers when you pulled that chair. She turned and left without another word. March 24th evening. Michael appeared at my bedroom door. First civil approach in months. Dad, can we talk about what? About everything. Christmas, the eviction, the trust. He entered without invitation, sat on the edge of my bed. I was wrong at Christmas. I shouldn't have done that. It was cruel. I'm sorry. I watched him carefully. You're sorry because I put the house in a trust. No. I'm sorry because I hurt you. Because I took you for granted. We both did. 4 years you took me for granted. And now 2 months before you have to leave. You're sorry. I know how it looks. But I mean it. We can start over. I will pay rent. Real rent. Market rate. Will contribute to utilities. Groceries. Everything. You had 4 years to offer that. Desperation edged into his voice. The trust. Can you change it? Can you reverse it? It's revocable. I could change the beneficiary. Hope flashed across his face. Then, but I won't. The decision is made. Dad, please think about the grandkids. Your grandsons. You're cutting them off, too. I'm not cutting them off. I'll see them when they're older. I'll explain. But the house, that's decided. Anger returned to his voice. This is really how you want it. Your son living in some apartment in a bad neighborhood because he can't afford anything else. I lived in worse. When I came back from service, shared apartment, 3 roommates, roaches in the kitchen. I survived. You will, too. He stood. The realization settled over him that this was futile. You've changed. You're not the person I knew. No, I'm exactly who I've always been. You just never bothered to see it. March 28th, Sarah sent the boys to my room. They knocked tentatively. Grandpa, I opened the door. Hey guys, come in. The older one spoke first. Words clearly coached. Grandpa, Mom says we have to move to a small apartment. I won't have my own room anymore. The younger one's lip trembled. Can't we stay here? Please, I knelt to their level. Come here. Sit down. They sat on my bed, both looking at me with confused eyes. You're moving because your parents need their own place. That's normal. Lots of kids share rooms. You'll be okay. But Mom says you're making us leave. That you don't want us here. That's not true. I love you both. But this is grown-up stuff between me and your parents. Not about you. The younger one started crying. I hugged him. I know change is hard, but I'll still see you. I'll still be your grandpa. Sarah appeared in the doorway. Boys, come on, leave Grandpa alone. She took them away. Mission failed. I sat on my bed after they left. For just a moment, my resolve wavered, but I knew this was Sarah's manipulation, not the children's genuine plea. March 31st, 2 weeks until eviction deadline. The house was the coldest it had been. No pretense anymore. Michael and Sarah spent evenings on their laptops searching for apartments they could afford. I heard them arguing about money, about neighborhoods. One evening, I passed Michael's open bedroom door, saw him sitting on the bed, head in his hands. Sarah's voice, "We'll survive. We always do. And maybe someday he'll regret this." Michael's response was quiet but clear. He won't. That's what I finally understand. He won't. 2 weeks, 14 days. The calendar hung on my wall like a countdown clock. Red circle around April 15th. In 14 days, my house would be mine again. truly mine. For the first time in 4 years, April first arrived with boxes. Cardboard appeared in corners, stacked in hallways, filled with their belongings piece by piece. I overheard them that evening. Michael at the kitchen table, laptop open to rental listings. This one's $1,600 a month, 2-bedroom, South Los Angeles. South Los Angeles. Sarah's voice went sharp. That's a terrible area. What about this one in Pasadena, $2,100? We can't afford that. Not with my salary and no savings. We wouldn't need savings if your father wasn't throwing us out. Let it go. We have 2 weeks. They signed a lease April 3rd. Small apartment complex. I recognized budget housing. Bars on windows. 800 square feet. The paperwork sat on the kitchen counter. I saw the address. Said nothing. Consequences looked different when they arrived. Between April 5th and 10th, the packing accelerated, but lines blurred. What was theirs versus what came with the house became a battlefield. April 8th, I noticed empty spaces. Kitchen, my good knife set missing. Living room, decorative lamp gone. Garage, power drill absent. I'd installed a simple lock on my bedroom door weeks earlier. Important documents stayed secured in my lockbox. April 9th evening, I found boxes in the garage with suspicious contents. Opened one, my 40-inch television from the living room. Another, end tables from the guest bedroom. Sarah appeared. Those are ours. We bought those. No. They were here when you moved in. They're mine. Prove it. I went to my bedroom, retrieved the folder with receipts, returned with documentation. Television purchased 2017, end tables 2016. All before Michael moved in. She grabbed the boxes, frustrated. Fine. We'll leave your precious things. April 12th, Saturday morning. I ran errands, grocery store, bank, returned home around 11:00. A rental truck sat in the driveway. 3 days early, Michael and 2 friends were loading furniture, my leather recliner, my coffee table, my bookshelf with my books still on it. Stop. Put those back. We need furniture, Michael said. The apartment's empty. That's my furniture. You're not taking it. His friend shifted uncomfortably. Man, maybe we should. It's fine. Keep loading. I pulled out my phone. Then I'm calling the police. Michael actually laughed. Go ahead. We live here. It's our stuff, too. I dialed. I need police at my address. People are stealing my property. Michael stopped laughing. 20 minutes later, 2 Los Angeles PD officers arrived. The senior one, Ramirez, assessed the situation quickly. What's happening here? My son and his family are being evicted. They're trying to take my furniture. I showed the eviction notice. Court order. Receipts for every piece they'd loaded. Do you have proof of ownership? Ramirez asked Michael. They're furniture. We've been living here. We use them. Using isn't owning. You have receipts, no. But then they stay. Unload the truck. Michael's friends moved fast, clearly wanting no part of this. The officers supervised every item's return. After they left, the friends left immediately. Michael and Sarah stood in the driveway, just the 3 of us, calling the police on your own son. Sarah's voice dripped venom. You really are heartless. You were stealing from me. What did you expect? April 13th and 14th crawled by. They packed only what they could prove was theirs. Clothes, personal items, things they'd brought 4 years ago. They realized how little they actually owned. April 14th evening. Sarah brought a photo album to my room. Look at these. Michael's childhood, family vacations, holidays. We were happy once. I glanced at the photos. We were. You're destroying that, erasing it. For what pride? For respect, which you never gave me. The boys will grow up knowing their grandfather chose strangers over family. The boys will grow up knowing actions have consequences. Better lesson than entitlement. She left the album on my desk. I closed it, set it aside. April 15th arrived with dawn. I woke at 6:00, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, heard movement upstairs, them waking for the last time in my house. 8:00 a.m. The rental truck arrived. Legitimate reservation this time. Michael and Sarah loaded boxes methodically. 2 different friends helped. The others had refused to return. I watched from the living room window. Didn't help. Didn't hinder. Just observed. 9:30. Most boxes were loaded. Sarah brought the grandchildren downstairs. Bye, Grandpa. I knelt. Hugged them both. Bye, guys. I'll see you soon. Promise. The younger one cried. I don't want to go, I know. But you'll be okay. You're tough kids. Sarah pulled them away quickly. 10:00 a.m. Michael did a final walkthrough. Returned to the living room where I stood. House keys. He pulled his key ring from his pocket, removed the house key, held it out. I took it. I hope you're happy, alone in your big house. I hope you learned something from this. What that family doesn't matter. Lesson learned. That respect matters. That you can't take without giving. That actions have consequences. He turned toward the door. Paused. You'll regret this someday. No, I won't. He left. Sarah appeared in the doorway one final time. You destroyed your family for this house. I hope it keeps you warm at night. Goodbye. Sarah. She walked out. The truck started. I moved to the front window, watched the U-Haul pull out of the driveway. Michael's car following behind. They drove down the street, turned the corner, disappeared. 10:15. The house fell completely silent. I stood at the window for several minutes, then walked through every room. Living room, empty spaces where their furniture had been, but my pieces remained. Kitchen counter clear. 3 bedrooms empty now. My bedroom exactly as it was. I returned to the living room, sat in my recliner, the one they'd tried to take. The house was quiet, not empty, peaceful. The house settled into silence, not the hostile silence of the past months, but the quiet of peace, my chair, my coffee, my sunlight. I sat there for an hour doing nothing but existing in my own space. It felt like breathing after being underwater for 4 years. 2:00 that afternoon. My phone rang. I sat in the living room, still in the same chair where I'd spent the morning hour. The screen lit up. Michael Mobile. I looked at it. Let it ring 6 times. Voicemail. I didn't listen to the message. 3:00 another call. 4:30 another. 6:15 another. Each time I glanced at the screen, set the phone back down. By evening, I had 8 missed calls. All Michael. April 16th. The calls continued. 4 in the morning. 3 in the afternoon. 5 in the evening. 17 through 22nd. The pattern held. My phone buzzed, lit up, went silent over and over. I kept count without meaning to. 63 calls in 1 week. April 18th, text messages started arriving. Dad, please, we need to talk. I know you're angry, but this is extreme. At least let me explain. The kids are asking about you. Please just pick up. I read each one, deleted each one. April 23rd, I opened my phone settings, found Michael's number, blocked it. Found Sarah's number, blocked that, too. The phone went silent. Late April, a different number called. I answered. Robert, it's George Wilson, Sarah's father. Do you have a minute? I sat up straighter. I have time. I'm not calling to argue. I'm calling to check on you and to tell you something. Go on. I saw their new place, the apartment. It's rough. Small. The boys are adjusting, but it's hard on them. He paused. I'm not asking you to change anything. Truth is, I think you did the right thing. I've been thinking about it since that phone call during the eviction. They took advantage for years. You're the first person from their side to say that. Because it's true. Sarah is my daughter, and I love her. But she's always looked for the easy way. And Michael, he let her turn him into someone I don't recognize. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve better. And because I think you should know they're struggling. Really struggling. He described it. Sarah looking for work. No job in 12 years. Limited skills. Michael's salary barely covering rent and bills. Stress visible on both of them. Michael's been asking friends for loans. Nobody's helping. Word got around about what happened. People know he lived rent-free for 4 years and got evicted by his own father. Actions have consequences. They do. Another pause. Anyway, I wanted you to know. I don't think you were wrong. If you want updates occasionally, I can keep you informed. If not, I understand. I appreciate the call. George, updates would be fine. Thank you for being honest. May through July, George called every few weeks. Mid-May, Sarah found work. Retail clerk at a discount store. $15 an hour. First job since before marriage. Michael working extra hours. The boys transferred schools mid-year. Struggling to adjust. Early June, George suggested coffee. We met at a diner. Sarah is exhausted. 2 jobs now. Retail plus weekend cleaning service. She's not used to working. She had years of not working. At my expense. I know. She's learning what real life costs. He stirred his coffee. Michael asked me for money. $1,500 loan. I refused. Told him he needs to figure this out himself. He also mentioned Michael tried contacting my neighbors, hoping they'd talk sense into me. Linda Hayes and others told him to leave me alone. Late June, another call. Financial situation slightly stabilized, but tight. Sarah injured her foot at work. Missed 2 weeks. Lost wages. Michael sold his truck. Bought a cheaper used car. The boys keep asking to visit you. Sarah refuses. Mid-July. We met for coffee again. Michael's different. Quieter. I think reality finally hit him. What kind of different? Defeated? Maybe or just grown up. He mentioned you the other day. Said he understood now why you did it. Understanding comes easier after consequences. True. George set down his cup. Listen, I know this is complicated, but the boys miss you. I could arrange visits at my place without Michael and Sarah present. I'd like that. Let's set something up. Late July afternoon. George visited my house. First time he'd seen it since everything exploded. I gave him a tour. Living room restored to how I liked it. Kitchen organized. Bedrooms empty but clean. It looks like you again. When they were here, it felt different. Cluttered. Chaotic. It felt like someone else's house with me as a guest. We sat on the back patio. I made coffee. I owe you an apology. For what Christmas? I showed up for dinner that night. I didn't know what happened. The chair, the fall until later. But I should have noticed how they treated you. Should have said something earlier. You weren't responsible for their behavior. Still, I saw signs. The way Sarah ordered you around. Michael's entitlement. I thought it was just family dynamics. Didn't realize how bad it was. Most people don't see what they're not looking for. You did the right thing. Evicting them. The trust. All of it. They needed to learn they can't just take from people. Even family. Especially family. Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know. You're a good man. Robert. Better than they deserved. We drank coffee in comfortable silence. The boys. We should arrange that visit. Maybe this Saturday. They could come to my place for lunch. You could join us. I'd like that very much. First grandchildren visit happened that Saturday at George's house. The boys cautious at first, then warming up. Mom said you were mad at us. The older one said, "Never at you. Never. I love you both." We spent the afternoon together. Cards, talking, ice cream, arrangement set for monthly visits. Late July. Life developed its rhythm. Phone silent of Michael's calls. House peaceful. Organized. Mine. Morning coffee on the patio. Afternoon projects. Evening reading. I repainted a guest bedroom. Fixed the fence gate. Replanted the garden. One weekend. I hosted a small barbecue. 3 retired colleagues from the auto shop where I'd worked 25 years. You seem lighter. One said, happier. I feel like myself again. Linda waved from her yard one evening. I waved back. July faded into August heat. The phone stayed quiet. No more calls from Michael. No more desperate messages. Just silence. And in that silence, I found something I hadn't felt in 4 years. Contentment. The house was mine. The days were mine. My life finally was mine again. Early August. I painted the front porch railings. They'd needed it for years. White paint. Fresh and clean. The brush moving in steady strokes while the morning sun climbed higher. The neighborhood woke up around me. Cars backing out of driveways. Coffee smells drifting from open windows. Normal sounds. Peaceful sounds. I fixed the squeaky fence gate that afternoon. Small satisfaction in the repair. In the silence when I swung it open and closed. Another day I reorganized the garage. Found items Michael left behind. An old basketball. Some tools. I didn't call him. Donated them to Goodwill instead. My social calendar filled. Coffee with George every other week. Lunch with retired colleagues. Linda invited me to a neighborhood potluck. I went. Brought potato salad. Mr. Anderson, 70-something. Caught me at the dessert table. Good to see you smiling again. Robert. Been a while. I realized he was right. I was smiling more. Mid-August. George called about the boys. They've been asking to see your house. Would you be comfortable with that? I'd bring them. Stay the whole time. Michael and Sarah won't know. I'd like that. Tell them to bring swim trunks. I'll set up the sprinkler. Saturday afternoon. George brought them. They hesitated at first, looking around. It looks different, the older boy said. Empty. It's not empty. It's just simpler now. Where's our stuff, our room? George knelt to their level. You have your room at the apartment. Remember, this is Grandpa's house. I deflected quickly. Come on, let's go outside. I've got the sprinkler set up. The backyard filled with laughter. They ran through the water, soaking wet, shouting. I watched from the patio. George beside me. Thank you for this. They needed to see you're okay, that you still love them. I do. Always will. This was never about them. They understand more than you think. Kids are perceptive. Later, I made them sandwiches and lemonade. We ate on the patio. Boys chattering about school, friends, the pool at their apartment complex. The older one suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Are you happy? Grandpa Mom says you're lonely here. I met his eyes. I'm not lonely. I'm peaceful. There's a difference. He thought about this, nodded like he understood something adults usually missed. When they left, both hugged me tight. The younger one whispered, I miss you. I miss you too. But we'll keep seeing each other. Promise. Late August morning, I worked in the front yard, trimming bushes, edging the lawn. A car slowed in front of the house. I recognized it. The cheaper sedan Michael bought after selling his truck. The car stopped across the street. I continued working, didn't look directly at it, but I was aware, completely aware. 5 minutes passed. The car remained, engine off. I finished one bush, moved to the next, maintained calm appearance. 10 minutes now. Finally, I glanced over. Michael sat in the driver's seat looking at the house. Our eyes met. His expression carried something I hadn't seen before. Uncertainty. Maybe regret. I held his gaze. Neutral. Didn't wave. Didn't gesture. Just looked. He looked away first, down at his steering wheel. Sat there another 5 minutes. 15 minutes total. I returned to the yard work. Heard the engine start. Peripheral vision caught the car pulling away. I didn't watch it go. Kept trimming. But I listened to the sound fade down the street. When silence returned, I paused, set down the clippers, sat on the porch step. Michael had come but couldn't get out of the car, couldn't cross the street, couldn't knock on the door. Just sat there looking at what he'd lost, and I understood. The revenge wasn't in his suffering. It was in his comprehension. He finally understood consequence. Understood what he threw away. That gulf between us. He created it. And now he knew it couldn't be crossed. Later that day, I sat on the back patio reflecting. No anger, no satisfaction, no triumph. Just quiet acknowledgement that the message had been received. I didn't need his apology. Didn't need his acknowledgement. I already had what mattered. Evening of August 30th. I sat on the front porch. Temperature cooling as the sun lowered. Sky painted orange and pink over the Los Angeles horizon. I rocked in my father's old chair. The one I'd brought from storage. Glass of lemonade sweating in my hand. The streets stayed quiet. Neighbor kids riding bikes, a couple walking their dog. Linda waved from her porch. I waved back. The house behind me glowed warm in the windows. Sprinkler running in the backyard. Tick, tick, tick against the grass. This house bought 35 years ago. Raised my family here. Lost Elizabeth here. Nearly lost myself here. But now reclaimed. Not just legally, spiritually. It felt like home again. Christmas dinner felt distant now, like a different lifetime. The fall, the humiliation, the Cold War, the eviction, necessary steps. Not pleasant, but right. Michael's 63 calls. This morning's car across the street. Final punctuation marks. I wasn't waiting for anything anymore. Not for Michael to apologize. Not for Sarah to understand. Not for vindication. I already had it in this quiet house. these peaceful evenings, this freedom to live as I chose. The sunset deepened, sky darkening to purple, stars beginning to appear. I sipped lemonade, rocked gently. A dog barked somewhere. Kids laughed down the street. Normal sounds, peaceful sounds. For the first time in 4 years, I wasn't angry, wasn't planning, wasn't fighting, just existing, just being, just home. The sun set behind my house, painting the sky in colors that felt earned. I rocked slowly in my father's old chair, lemonade cold in my hand, and felt something I hadn't felt in years, truly at home, not just in my house, but in my life. The quiet victory wasn't in their struggle or in Michael unable to face me. It was in this, me, my porch, my peace. I'd won the moment I decided I deserved better. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.